Hey guys, in this video we're talking about what is an HSA. So an HSA, simply put, stands for Health Savings Account. And in this specific video we're talking about how it relates to people in Washington State, specifically if you're on the PEBB or SEBB healthcare system. So if you're a member of the Public Employees Benefit Board, PEBB, or the School Employees Benefit Board, SEBB, some of those plans are eligible for HSAs. So the first thing you need to know about HSA accounts is the purpose and why they exist. So the whole reason why HSA accounts are here are for people that are on high deductible health plans. So because they have a high deductible health plan, this health savings account is a way to kind of put money aside to help cover that higher deductible that you may have to pay in the future if you need medical services. So before you can get an HSA account set up, you need to be eligible for one. And to be eligible, you have to participate in a high deductible health plan, and it has to be HSA eligible. So in the SEBB and PEBB system, there are a couple of options with Kaiser and UMP that are HSA eligible. So during open enrollment, or if you have a qualifying health event, you're given the option to choose your medical plan. If you're looking on that list, you want to look for one that has the acronyms HDHP, High Deductible Health Plan, or it'll say HSA eligible. If you are enrolled in one of those plans, then you can participate in the HSA account. So once you have that set up, you're allowed to put money aside for future healthcare expenses. Now, the great thing with these HSAs is they're called tax perfect. In other words, they're triple tax protected. So you can put money away on a pre-tax basis, which means you get immediate tax deduction. So if you make $100,000 a year and you put $3,000 to an HSA, you get taxed on 97, not the full 100. So it's an immediate tax benefit you get right away. The money grows tax deferred, so as it earns interest over time, you don't get any kind of tax bill for that. And then upon distribution, as long as you use it for qualifying healthcare expenses, you can get that money out of there completely tax-free. So essentially, you never have to pay taxes on this money. So if you're part of the PEBB or SEBB system, Washington State is currently contracted with a company called Health Equity. They're the ones that you're going to have your HSA account with. And when you make contributions, you're going to make it from your paycheck directly to them. So you're eligible to contribute money into these HSA accounts as long as you remain on an HSA eligible health plan. So the best way to think about it is like an IRA for healthcare or a separate savings account for healthcare expenses. Now you can contribute up to an annual limit per year. So the first thing you know is what kind of health plan you have. So when you get an HSA, you're either going to have an individual coverage plan or a family plan. And the only distinction there is on your medical insurance who is listed. If I'm single and recovering myself, I have an individual plan. If I have a medical plan and I have kids listed on there or my spouse is covered on there, then I'm eligible for a family HSA account. And the only distinction there is the contribution limits. So individual plans, as of 2022, you can contribute up to $3,650, and family plans are double that, or $7,300. Now, if you have a spouse that has their own health plan and they have their own HSA eligible plan, you can both have your own HSA accounts, and the total adds up to be the same. When you're going to use the benefit for the HSA, there's no age limit for distributions. You can essentially take this money out anytime you want to for healthcare and pay no taxes on it. So you don't have to wait until retirement or anything like that to use the money. And when you spend the money on HSA, it doesn't have to be for you or for your healthcare. So for example, if you took your kids somewhere and had to pay a copay, you could take money out of your HSA and use it to pay the copay. So you can use your health savings account for any family member, even if you have individual coverage or they're not directly listed on your health insurance plan. Now, once you turn 55, you get a catch-up provision, or an extra $1,000 can be added to this account. So the individual contribution limits increase from $3,650 to $4,650, or from $7,300 to $8,300 for the family coverage. One thing to keep in mind is that when you're contributing money into these plans, your contributions plus your employer's contributions cannot be past the total. So you have to take into account what they're putting into the account for you. Washington State currently puts $375 a year into individual plans and $750 a year into the family plans. So if I'm an individual, I know that I have to take my $3,650 limit and deduct the $375 that Washington State's putting in there. The difference is how much I personally can contribute into there and reap the full benefits of it. So make sure you take that into account before you set up your HSA contributions, just so you don't surpass those limits, because that's when things get a little bit tricky tax-wise. As far as when you should consider using HSA, as when you're younger and healthy and you really don't see the doctor all that much, your medical bills are pretty low, this is a really good time to consider using one of these high deductible plans and saving money into an HSA. Healthcare is one of the biggest costs you're going to see in retirement. The sooner you start putting money away for it, the better. Now, your HSA contributions can be invested. So by default, they go in as cash and they earn maybe a very low interest rate, but you have the option to invest this money into different mutual funds that your provider has. And this here is really the key to getting more money in the future. So you can take your HSA money and invest it, and it can potentially grow for you over time. So you have a lot more money saved up for healthcare. And again, because it's in the HSA shell, it all grows tax deferred and can come out tax free. Now, if you get to 65, you're like, hey, I don't need this money for healthcare anymore. Maybe you have coverage from a different spouse. You don't think you need it. You actually can take money out of the HSA after 65 for non-medical reasons, but you will be taxed on them. So this money isn't totally tied up for healthcare only. That's just how you can use it if you want it to remain completely tax-free. So this HSA is a really great benefit you have available to you, and you should take full advantage of it because it can pay dividends off in the future. Now, as good as it is knowing the basics of it, it's important to get into the fine details. So if you click on the screen here, you can see a video called 5 HSA Hacks, where I show you how to supercharge your HSA savings with little known features. That's all for now. I'll see you guys next week. Remember that your future depends on what you do today.